This is the story about a missionary in Africa who takes a basket of fruits and put it at the bottom of a tree and says to the children, now you run, and the first one who reaches the tree will get the basket of fruits. And what he sees is a surprise that all the children, they start running towards the tree, but they are running hand in hand all together. And they reach the tree together, and they sit and they start sharing the basket of fruits. And the missionary says, what did you do? What happened? And they say, ubuntu. They say, why not? Why not the first one who runs the fastest could have got the basket of fruits for himself? And they say, ubuntu. And they say, what does it mean, ubuntu? And they say, ubuntu means I am because we are, which in plain English means I cannot be happy alone. So this story of ubuntu is going to show us the relationship between all our, it will be the red thread in our presentation for emotional intelligence, self-esteem, and well-being, which is the subject of our presentation. Now, in 1994, I was invited by Vice President Alan Cohen of Babson College, Wellesley, Massachusetts, to listen to a top professor of Harvard University, whose name is Howard Gardner. And he was the first one ever to talk about emotional intelligence. Now, we have learned all our life that we think with our brain and we love with our heart, and that they are disconnected. You know, there is no connection between the heart and the brain. And then Professor Gardner was explaining that of course there is a relationship, and that this relationship is called emotional intelligence. Now, at that time there was no books on emotional intelligence, because he was the first one to make this conference. The definition, my definition of emotional intelligence is my ability to perceive my own feelings and understand my own feelings and perceive the feelings of others in order to guide my thoughts and actions to reach a better well-being at work and in life. Now, the emotional intelligence is composed of 15 elements, and all these 15 elements, as we can see here around the circle, is written the word well-being, 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 well-being. So really it is related to well-being, and emotional intelligence is absolutely related to leadership. The factors, the elements like self-regard, like empathy, like self-actualization, like assertiveness, like interpersonal relationships, all these factors are leadership characteristics. And please listen to Professor Boyatsis, who is a specialist of emotional intelligence and leadership.
Thank you for joining this course on effective leadership, resonant leadership, and how to inspire it in ourselves and others. We'll be going through a number of modules, but in this first one, I'm going to introduce the concept of what is effective leadership. What is the kind of leadership that excites us and make us wanting to bring our game? What I can say is that outstanding leaders know that the music of leadership is emotions, and that people who are really good at leadership are able to help inspire and help us manage our emotions in the process. But I can't convince you of this because 60 years of research in social psychology has made it clear that you don't convince people of things by rational arguments. You convince them by emotional arguments, and then you use rational arguments afterwards to make yourself feel better.
Now, we receive the emotions first, and then the reasoning comes next in reaction to the emotions. So EI help us to think before reacting, to reach better control of our impulses. Behaving calmly and rationally in difficult situations is a leadership characteristic. Emotional stability is rarely mentioned in business textbooks, and this is a shame. Yet, because it's a more crucial factor for leader success than any other subject. The higher you move up the ladder, the more EI and the more impulse control becomes important, reacting calmly. Now, of course, the leadership characteristics and emotional intelligence are very, very much related. And the relationship also between self-esteem and emotions is of such import in life that it cannot be ignored. Having low self-esteem is not something good. If you do not believe in yourself, why would you expect others to believe in you? And as a leader, you need to have optimism and positive attitude, especially when faced with adversity. Self-esteem and self-confidence are key to leadership. And we will see that also how this relationship creates, not only leadership, but really people who can be happy in life and at work. Professor Martin Seligman and Professor Ro Baumeister of Princeton University are both specialists of self-esteem and of happiness. And of course, according to them, self-esteem is related to happiness. Now, this is a short video of Professor Daniel Goleman of Harvard University, who is an expert of emotional intelligence.
Bevo.com.
Daniel, in terms of predicting who is going to be in the top 10% of performers, i.e. the star performers, you say that EI, emotional intelligence, is more as a sort of a better gauge than IQ. So can you just tell me why that is the case?
It's very simple. Study after study shows that in order to be in a top profession, in order to be an engineer, in order to get an MBA, in order to get an MD, or be a top executive, you need to have an IQ that's about one standard deviation above normal or higher. That puts you at about 115 IQ. But then the studies show after that there is no correlation between your IQ and your actual effectiveness or success in that line of work. Whether you're a CEO, academic, an engineer, doesn't matter. Why? Because that is the IQ level you need to master the technical skills, and it's the cognitive capacity you need to handle that profession. But after that, think about it. Once you're in the field, you're competing with people who are about as smart as you are. There's really no, throughout school, IQ is a huge advantage for grades. In the workplace, after you reach that criterion level, it has very little added benefit, and what makes the difference are your personal abilities. How you manage yourself. Do you stay motivated? Do you stay focused? Are you adaptable? Are you self-aware? And your interpersonal abilities. Can you read other people? Do you know how to get along well? Are you a good team player? Can you be a leader? And those all depend on emotional intelligence.
We are selected on IQ basis, but we pursue our career on AI. This is very important because IQ is innate, but EI can be learned and can be improved. And the result of learning EI and improving EI is absolutely tremendous, because these are some statistics from Harvard University. A high EI is linked to superior career success, including higher income. Nearly 1/2 of all job successes, 1/2, can be attributed to EI. The fundamental elements of EI account for 76% of the effectiveness of leading manager. There are many more statistics about EI, but this is not the subject of our presentation. It could be done somewhere else, but I have listed only a few other statistics here to show, which you can look later on, that the importance of EI in life. Now, these 15 elements, which I was showing before, they are all related to leadership characteristics. And this is the leadership characteristics like self-regard, like assertiveness, like empathy, like problem solving, like flexibility, like stress tolerance, like optimism, all these are part of leadership characteristics. And they are connected together, which means if you improve self-regard, it's going to improve many other elements of the emotional intelligence. So by improving one element, the total score of emotional intelligence is going to be increased. And this is very important because if it is increased, one element will increase the emotional intelligence. And therefore, if you improve two elements, now it will be a lot better. Of course, if you how to do that, how to learn that, first of all, as Professor Daniel Goleman is saying, you need to be motivated to do this. So by increasing self-regard, self-awareness, etc., we are going to increase our chances of personal success. Now, I want to show you this video, which is about 5 minutes, which has been seen by 100 million people already since 1 year. Okay, this video is about Judge Frank Caprio, who is my hero and my model. And just watch it, please.
Andrew, you have 4 different registrations. You have 5 tickets that go back to 2004, 2005, and 2006. Can you prosecute those tickets?
No, Your Honor, not from 04, 05. We won't even have copies of those, Your Honor.
Those matters are going to be dismissed.
I wasn't aware of them. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Well,
Thank you.
The issue isn't whether you are aware of them. The issue is whether or not they were placed on the vehicle, and they were. At the time, you were living on 9th Street in Woonsocket. We're keeping track of you. Then you got a ticket on Friendship Street in 2008. That was a parking meter on Friendship Street. That's going to cost you $25. Then you have a parking meter in 2014 on Friendship Street. It's going to cost you $25. So far you're doing pretty good because all you got is $50. And now you have 4 parking tickets.
Are you talking about the most recent ones?
Most recent ones, right.
All right. The one on 11-1.
On the Nissan.
Yeah, the one on 11-1, I went to Social Security because they had cut my check. Because my son was recently killed last year. So they cut my check because he had owed money.
Who?
My son was killed March of last year, right? So I was his rep payee. So they took my money because he had owed money. So I had to go to Social Security to fix that matter. When I came out, I had a ticket. Then another time on the 5th, the parking meter wasn't working. I have the picture for that. On 1/4, I was at court because my landlord was trying to evict me. So I was at eviction court. Come out, I got a ticket. Mind you, he won possession of the apartment, so I had to move. So I got a ticket, he won possession of the apartment. Then I get another one because I tried to go to the legal services to try to get help to fix this. I go get some change out of Dunkin' Donuts, come out, I got a $100 ticket.
What was
It's
the?
like I can't win.
What was the situation with the mix-up in Social Security with your son?
My son was killed last year, March of last year. They said that he owed $75 of overpayment from May of 2016. Mind you, he was already deceased at that time. So what they did was they stopped my whole check until I went in there to fix the problem. So when I came out, I had a parking ticket.
All right.
I've had a tough year already, Your Honor. I'm on SSDI. I don't have $400 to give you on top of whatever else. I really do. I just had to come up with money for a new apartment. I'm still paying Russell and Boyle for my son's funeral. Like, I don't know where this money's supposed to come from. I wish I would have got my brother that night and he wouldn't have killed my son. That's why my son's gone. And I'm just really having a tough time, Your Honor.
I think we can all express our sympathy to you and understand the trauma that you have experienced.
I'm still going back and forth to court for that. There's still emotions and I don't know.
I'm going to take all of the circumstances that you just have explained to me into consideration and see if I can balance the equities to protect the interest of the city and take into consideration, you know, the horrific story that you just told us relative to your son. I don't think anyone in their lifetime would ever want to experience that. So
it's the worst feeling in the world. I feel so empty and lost.
I'm going to reduce this to $50. How much time do you need to pay it?
I have it on me now.
All right. That's not going to leave you without any money, is it?
I'll leave here with $5. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm not going to leave you with $5. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to dismiss everything.
Thank you.
All right. With our best wishes and hope that things turn around good for you. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you. Good luck.
Now you have seen empathy at work from a judge who says, I do not have a badge under my robe, I have a heart under my robe. And this Judge Frank Caprio, who is a good friend to me, at the same time is my hero and my model for life, and is an extraordinary person whom I admire and love very, very much. So in 1993, I was at Harvard University, and they showed me a survey, which was the largest survey undertaken on 40,000 students of Ivy League, you know, the 10 best universities in the United States. And what was the survey? It was asking the students to rank 10 items from most important to least important. And what were these items? You know, the items were like, if you are missing of something, or if you have it but you would need more of it. And the 10 items were love, health, security, money, power, self-esteem, intellectual abilities, etc. And self-esteem came important and very important for 73% for the students. It was number one. And so they said, no, this is not, there is something wrong with the survey, because these students are the best students in the United States, and they are very sensible, and not to say brilliant minds. So what happened? We are going to redo the survey. And they did the survey again, the same survey again. They did it 4 years later. And guess what? Self-esteem came 80% of the time as number one. More recently, the same survey was conducted by, at Ohio State University by Professor Brad Bushman. And Brad Bushman said, I'm going to give images to the students so they can you know, read them better in their imagination. And so he said, okay, you are invited to a great night with the companion you have always dreamed of. You are invited for an exquisite dinner with your favorite food. You are going to receive a paycheck. substantial paycheck. You are going to have a self-esteem building experience. You are going to visit your best friend, etc. And so the results were absolutely astonishing, because 80% of the time, self-esteem came as number one. And Professor Brad Bushman says, I don't understand. These are college students, and for them, they love sex, they love good food, they love visiting their friends, they love paychecks, yet self-esteem came as number one. So this was something absolutely extraordinary, because 80% of the people need to improve their self-esteem. This is a figure which is absolutely fantastic. So I said, okay, what is happening with this subject of self-esteem? So I went and I bought immediately so many books I could find on the subject of self-esteem. And these books, I bought also books in France to learn also about if there was something different between the French and US people on self-esteem. Now, I came out with a synthesis of all these books, and the synthesis of all these books was something absolutely not important, but it is something which is critical for life. First of all, low self-esteem. Negative emotions are observed with low, I'm telling you now, I'm telling what is the synthesis of all these books. So negative emotions are observed with low self-esteem. Anger, envy, jealousy, pessimism, regret, greed, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, uncertainty, fear from failure. These emotions affect our thoughts and actions our entire life. On the opposite side, high self-esteem has a positive impact on emotions and results in joy, peace, optimism, serenity, kindness, benevolence, empathy, self-confidence, generosity, compassion, courage, and risk-taking. Having low self-esteem is a terrible thing because it can affect every part of our life. So, all these books were proposing exercises to increase, to develop, to build self-esteem. And most of these techniques, which were repeated from one book to another practically, were like unmasking the imposter syndrome, autosuggestion, meditation, visualization, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, combating negative dialogue, combating cognitive distortions, etc. The problem with all these exercises, all these techniques, well, of course they work, but they need time. They need something like half an hour to 1 hour per day for a very long period, maybe several months. So in my mind, I was thinking that I would like to create a method that would be easy to learn, simple to apply, that would take only a few minutes every day, and that would deliver effective results in 2 to 3 months. So of course this was in my mind, and if I find it, it's fine. If I do not find it, I'm not going to write another book which is exactly a copy of all the books I have read. So it was until I went to make my certification in emotional intelligence. This is the relationship between emotional intelligence and self-esteem. Now I'm going to explain this relationship. I was doing my certification, and of course during my certification of emotional intelligence, I learned that emotions results in decisions, and decisions result in actions, and actions result in behavior. And so I asked the teacher, I said, can we have a behavior, such a behavior, this particular behavior, which could affect the emotions? And he said, of course, this is what emotional intelligence is for. It's like the salmon who is going against the current in the river, but against the current, and going up, up, up. So if we have a behavior which is a good behavior, and of course it could affect the emotions. So I started thinking, what is this particular behavior that can produce good feelings?
This morning, Bob could not finish his work.
Gosh, I feel useless.
This afternoon, Amy went home weeping. Mom, I have no friends. No one likes me. This evening, Pamela felt down. Again, I let go on a great opportunity because I fear I can't make it. I'm just a failure. Every day, millions of Bobs, Amys, and Pamelas suffer from low self-esteem. They are your siblings, your parents, your spouse, your children, your friends, even you, even me. But there's a way out of this. With Rapid Improvement Self-Esteem Method, or RISE, you will not just rise, you will shine as well. Dr. Nassif has spent 25 years of personal research helping countless people improve their self-esteem. He created an easy method that can help you achieve your fullest potential. So, isn't it time to let go and rise? Visit riseselfesteem.com.
So I asked people, what is the particular behavior that can produce good feeling? And the particular behavior that can produce good feeling is good deeds. It's very, very simple to understand. When you do a good deed, you have a good feeling. It is by giving that we create happiness. Ubuntu. We cannot be happy alone. Ubuntu. So I prefer using the word good actions because it is getting into actions. This is very important because only by getting into action that self-development can take place. This is a maxim of coaching, and the way to do good action is explained in the book I wrote, which is The Method, and this is found on the website of Rise Self-Esteem. Now, these are also, you can go on the Facebook page of Rise Self-Esteem and you will see many things. You will see also on YouTube plenty of videos, and all these things are important, but it is not, I want to go faster to explain things that are important in the discovery of this method of Rise Self-Esteem. The heart of the method is the self-esteem act. This is the self-esteem act. So when you do a good action, you get a good feeling. So the first step is to notice the feeling in the moment. The second thing, which you do very quickly, the second thing is feel that feeling. Feel it well. The third thing is appreciate for a minute. Appreciate that you are appreciate the feeling you are receiving, the good feeling, appreciate it. Then the fourth step is to bring the feeling to the brain. Bring it from your heart to the brain, relationship between heart and brain. And finally, be grateful. Be grateful and memorize this good feeling. Memorize it, that you have done something good to somebody. Let me say something. This is the word that will summarize all the method: doing well by doing good. I love this, doing well by doing good. So you can print it in your brain, because it is so important to understand that it is by giving that we receive. When we receive, we feel good, and when we feel good, we are happy. Now, we cannot become what we need to be by remaining what we are. So the right self-esteem have three conditions to improve the self-esteem, and the three conditions are summarized into 3P. The letter P is purpose, perseverance, and progress. And we have to understand, first of all, the purpose, to apply it, to be disciplined, to do this effort that Daniel Goleman is telling about, to do the good actions. So understand and apply. Number two is perseverance. Do it regularly and continue with determination. And finally, the progress. The progress, see your daily progress on the application, because there is an app which is linked to the method, and you can see your progress every day. You can see also your progress for the last 10 days, and you can measure your self-esteem level after 6 months. Does self-esteem have an impact on my work? Does self-esteem have an impact on my work? This is something which I am always asked, and I show you if it has.
People ask me, will an improved level of self-esteem have an impact on my work? The answer is a resounding yes. Improved self-esteem has a major impact on how we show up each day. Our energy, concentration, performance, and enthusiasm for the task at hand are all impacted by how good we feel about ourselves and the confidence we have in our ability to perform a particular task. Higher self-esteem results in better communication, better relationships, increased team cohesiveness, reduction in conflicts, more empathy, encourages initiative and risk-taking, more innovation and creativity, increased motivation, engagement, and accountability, improved well-being. The RISE self-esteem method has proven to be invaluable as a corporate leadership and team development tool for elevating organizational performance and team cohesion. Visit riseselfesteem.com.
I promise to show the relationship between emotional intelligence, self-esteem, and the relationship between self-esteem and the circuits of the brain. Now, this is something that has been discovered very recently by neuroscience, by the epigenetics. The epigenetics, the discovery of epigenetics has 5 years, not 10 years, 5 years only, and of course of quantum mechanics. So I want to show you the logo of Carrefour. Carrefour is a French supermarket, and this logo, I show it to people, and I say, what do you see? And some people say to me, yes, we see two arrows, one on the left, one on the right. Some other people we see the colors of the French flag, which are blue, white, and red. And some other people say, but very few, we can see the letter C in the middle. The letter C of Carrefour. And so I am offering a simple technique, which is the technique of self-esteem, which seems to be simple and easy, but it is most powerful because images go into the brain, and the feeling good has an extraordinary and magical effect on the brain. Now, I am a follower of Judith Glaser, who is an expert in neuroscience, and I have been following several of her classes and courses. And very, very briefly, neuroscience and epigenetics are advanced discoveries of the past 5 years. Judith Glaser said we have 100 billion neurons in our brain. And self-esteem and self-confidence are intimately linked to a neurotransmitter called serotonin. A lack of serotonin leads to depression. Social relationship increase the amount of serotonin in the brain. Professor Herbert Benson, who has been creating, who is the inventor of the Mind-Body Center and is medical at Harvard Medical School, has written several books on relaxation response. Each book has been sold to 40, 50 million copies. And he says he has measured that during relaxation, there is an increase of alpha waves. So there is a formidable experiment conducted at Harvard Medical School that show what you believe you get. And this experiment, one of the experiments was conducted by also Herbert Benson, when he takes two groups of women who are pregnant women and separate them, group A and group B. And to group A, of course, pregnant women have a problem when they wake up in the morning, they have nausea. So he says, I'm going to give you, to the first group, to group A, I'm going to give you tablets. So you take this tablet every morning, and after 15 days, you will have no more nausea. So come back after 15 days and we will see the results. To the other group, the group B, he said, I'm going to give you now a spoon of a specific liquid. So you are going to swallow this liquid and nausea will be finished. And you come back after 15 days to tell me if you have had any nausea at all. So both groups come back after 15 days. Group A, which has been taking the tablet one every day, they say, yes, it was fine. 85% of the women said, we have had no more nausea. Now, the group B, which took only one spoon on the first day of this specific liquid, they said, yeah, we didn't, our nausea has disappeared, and again, about the same percentage, 85% said, we have had no more nausea. Now, what was in that spoon? What was the liquid in the spoon? You can say it was placebo, but because when we take a placebo, of course, we are already healed. The problem, it was not a placebo. It was Ipeca. And Ipeca is a vomiting product, which we give to people if by accident they have been swallowing something poisonous. We give them Ipeca to vomit. So Herbert Benson was giving them Ipeca and telling them that this is going to heal them. Ipeca should have helped them to vomit, should have made them to vomit, but instead he told them it's going to heal you. So what you believe, you get. This is the important thing which is behind also the self-esteem method, is it helps us, this method helps us to put in the circuits of the brain something absolutely a new program, which is going to erase the old program, to crush the old program. It's very simple to understand, like when you are putting a new software in your computer, it crushes the old program. The quantum mechanics started by getting interested into the matter. And they found out that there were things they could not understand. So they started to dig and fell into the energy. They found out that energy and matter were two different aspects of the same element, like vapor and water. Then they realized that thoughts affected the matter. Just like the thoughts acting on a glass of water provoke the water to crystallize in a totally different manner with positive thoughts and with negative thoughts. When negative thoughts were directed on the glass, when positive thoughts were and Professor Masaru Emoto called this phenomena the Heido effect. And Professor Masaru Emoto discovered that when the thoughts were directed, positive thoughts on the glass, and then we crystallized the water, we were going to find very harmonious crystals. But when negative thoughts were directed on the glass of water, the same water, the same similar water, and then crystallized the water, the crystals were completely ugly. So this is the Heido effect. He postulates that since all phenomena are resonating energy, by changing the vibration, we can change the substance. So we are changing in the method of self-esteem, we are changing the vibration. Our ability to be happy, this is what he says, our ability to be happy, no matter what and no matter when, depends entirely what's going on in our heart. So we already knew these effects in the we already know these effects in the quantum mechanics. We have today something called the epigenetics, which I will talk about in 1 second. Our inconscient directs us in 99% of the cases. It is for this reason that we need to create a new program that will come above the old program and erase it so that the circuits of our brain will function along the new modes. This is what Professor Daniel Goleman was explaining in the second part of the video, which I didn't show. So we need to erase the wrong memory from our brain. What I want is to feel good. We are not separated from others. I cannot be happy when others are unhappy. Ubuntu. President Reagan once said, we cannot help everyone, but everyone can help someone. So epigenetics is the discovery of the past 5 years, not 10 years. And as an example, the epigenetics was discovered when they took an example of two twins who had the same DNA, and they separated them to live in two different families in very different conditions, and the result was that they became and behave differently. So we are a complex interaction between our genes and our behavior. We have 50,000 billion cells which compose our tissues and organs. Each cell contains the genetic material. If we could stretch out the DNA from the chromosome, which can only be seen by a microscope, it measures about 2 meters. And if we could put end to end all the DNA contained in the chromosomes, it would represent 130 times the distance between Earth and the Sun. Every time we learn something new, we are strengthening our brain. Just like physical exercise strengthens our various muscles, the more we exercise specific areas in the brain, the stronger and more connected those areas will become. This is the principle of reinforcement. Epigenetic is the layer epigenetic is the layer that comes above the classical genetics. Of course, we cannot change the genes. That's impossible. But the epigenetic is the possibility to modulate the expression of our genes by our behavior. Through our behavior, we can secrete and produce in our body enzymes and proteins which can control the functioning of our life. The first consequence is that we become responsible towards our body, the environment, and the society around us. There are five keys which influence the epigenetics: nutrition, moderate exercise, stress management, the pleasure of feeling good. And this is the relationship between epigenetics and the method of right self-esteem. 5, the family and social network. My friend, Professor Jean-Pierre Issa at Texas University, who is professor of medicine, he says on epigenetics, the tip of the iceberg is genomics, and the bottom of the iceberg is epigenetics. The bottom is 15% and epigenetics is 85%. We cannot change the genes, but we can act upon the genes through our behavior. So when we have a behavior of a good action, this is something that is acting on our brain, is creating a new program. Our brain gets modified continuously. The example of which I showed you of the logo of Carrefour, that we cannot see something, then we can see it modifies the functioning of the perceived system, and the effects can be more or less durable. The C of Carrefour, which if you see it in 1 year time, you will see it in a quicker time. The feeling good helps to produce serotonin, dopamine, tryptophan, endorphins, and oxytocins, which are the hormones of happiness. Now, of course, This is the method of Fry's self-esteem, which I invite you to consult, to read, to know about, to read the book. Remember that we cannot manage what we cannot measure. So there is one thing remains that is important, is that there is a difficulty. Most of the people who have problems do not know that their problems originate from low self-esteem. They do not know that. So I designed a free test to measure the self-esteem. These are which you will see later on. These are very important persons, people who wrote about the importance of doing good actions and being kind, being generous, and doing good deeds and doing good actions. Professor David Myers, the people who are happy are those who bring their help to others. Very clear. Now, many people do not know that the origin of their problems is a low self-esteem. So I created a free test which is fully anonymous. It is the result of years of research in psychology and social behavior. It has been designed following thorough studies to reflect the most veracious results. Additionally and importantly, the test has demonstrated its validity, effectiveness, and reliability. This is the link for the test. You can please take the test and see where you stand and if you need any improvement to self-esteem. Thank you very much indeed.